What's everybody, Cryptic here, back with another Arma Reforger video, and today I'm going to be showing you guys the absolute best Arma Reforger beginner's guide in, well, 2025. Happy New Year, by the way. Now, I understand that I already had a ultimate beginner's guide that I had uploaded prior to this video. However, that was when I was fairly new to the game, and that was just a lot of the knowledge that I had at the time. But to say the least, I've learned a lot more now, so I'm going to show you guys quite a lot. If you guys do go on to enjoy this video, be sure to smash that like button and subscribe if you want. I do this kind of stuff quite a lot.
I also do a lot of cool gameplay videos for Arma Reforger where I set up custom scenarios and kind of just play them out in kind of long form videos, some shorts, all that kind of cool stuff. So if you guys haven't gone and checked that out, go check that out.
But without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Alrighty, so you just hopped on your PlayStation 5, you got Arma Reforger downloaded, you're super hyped, you really can't wait to get into a match, and you want to know, what the heck do I do? How does any of this work? Well, one thing's for sure, you're not alone. This game is pretty confusing. There is a lot going on, but once you guys are done watching this video, you are going to be like, you're going to be tactical, operative pros at this game. You have no idea. So for starters, obviously, let's go into Arma Reforger. You're going to want to hit play, Game Master, and while hovering over Game Master, you're going to want to hit options on your controller. And then after that, go to the very, very bottom to, well, you could go to Game Master, Arland, or Everon. However, I'm going to go with Everon. It's the largest map in the game, and it, if I'm being honest, looks the best. All right, so now that we've fully loaded into the Game Master here, it's gonna be pretty interesting. Now, there's a lot that you guys are gonna need to know. So for starters, why are we using Game Master? What does this have to do with the rest of the game? You're probably wondering, aren't I just gonna end up playing just multiplayer? What does this have to do with anything? That's a good question. The great thing about Game Master is it lets you guys test out literally everything the game has to offer, and I mean literally everything. So maybe you're completely new to flying helicopters, which I mean literally everybody is, and it can be kind of difficult until you get the hang of it. The first thing you can do is head over to the airstrip, hit your touchpad, the vehicles tab using R1, then use R2 to switch between pages and find a helicopter you like, place it down, and that's about it. Now, if you want, if you're wondering, well, how do I test it out? Hit your touchpad again, hit L1, go to this section, pick any character, enemy, doesn't matter who it is, click on a character. Now, to be any character that you're choosing, you need to tap and hold X on your controller, and it'll make that character you place down yourself. Alternatively, you can put any character down without making it yourself. While looking at that character, hold down square on your controller and use your right stick to go down to take control. You actually become that character, which is pretty cool. But if you go out of the Game Master in-game while playing and you do it again while holding touchpad and triangle at the same time, you'll immediately play as the person you put down that's as you. Then of course you get into the helicopter, for example. Now, if you guys are wondering, wait, I'm not gonna ever plan on flying helicopters, you might want to skip ahead to the video. This is what I'm going to be starting off with. Helicopter, this is how you're going to fly it. First things first, you got your navigation lights as well as anti-collision lights. The anti-collision lights, well, you guessed it, go off when you're about to collide with something. If you look a little bit further, you also got a searchlight as well, dome lights, and you can turn all these on. It is pretty cool and looks sick at night. Now, if you're wondering, how do I start this thing's prop? How do we get flying? How does it work? Well, for starters, you're going to look down at the stick and hit square to take control. Make sure auto hover's on. After that, you're going to want to look up at the top here, hold square to start your engine, and that's about it. Give it a second to make sure the prop kind of winds up a bit. Person, you'll see we're looking pretty good. Now, the best way to practice this is in third person because it gives you a better view of everything going on around you, so it makes it a lot easier to see your surroundings. And then when you get better at it, you can just stay in first person, and trust me, playing this game in first person is a lot of fun. Now, you'll notice you kind of take off a little bit, so if you want to stay on the ground, you're going to want to hold your left stick facing down. That'll keep you from not being airborne. Now, for the airborne part, you're going to want to push up on your left stick, which you'll notice will start to take you up. And if you're wondering, okay, I can only go up, using left or right kind of turns me, but I can't go anywhere. All good. For starters, give yourself enough room because you don't want to crash. So we're going to fly up kind of high. And then what you're going to do is hold down R1 to keep your camera locked. If you want to do any form of going anywhere in a helicopter in this game, you will need to lock your camera. So hold down R1. And now if you notice, if you use your right stick to tip back, you'll tip back, which will make you move backwards. And if you tip forward, your prop starts to power you forward. So you're going to need to do a combination of find like the sweet spot in between, of course, and you'll notice you're now flying perfectly forward. Now, if you want to pull back on the stick to go up again, just like a helicopter. And if you were wondering how am I leaning like this, you can just go left or right with your right stick. So if you go pull back like this, down with your left stick, you can do a really sick, and then pull up a little. Okay, maybe don't do that, but I think you get the point. It's pretty easy. I just didn't see that tree there, and that was kind of a bad idea. And now I'm in a burning wreck. But anyway, that's how you fly helicopters in Arma Reforger. It is actually really easy. On to the next thing. So another thing in the Game Master that is super, super awesome is if you hit your touchpad once again and hit L1 to go over to the first tab here called Entity Browser, and you hit triangle and then use your D-pad to go up one, you'll notice you can click X on the search bar and you can type in anything you want. What you're going to want to type in though is arsenal and find an arsenal you want. Now the arsenals that you choose are going to give you gear based on what faction that is. So if you pick an American arsenal, you're going to find American gear inside. If you do a Russian weapons arsenal or just the base arsenal, of course you'll find Russian stuff inside. And if you do resistance, well, once again, that's going to be how it works. Same goes with civilian. For the purpose of this video, we're going to put down a regular American arsenal. We're also going to go find a character that we want to play as. I think there's a Spec Ops guy right here. We're going to place him down. Okay, apparently we placed down a Russian soldier, but that's all good because thankfully it doesn't really matter who you are. You can still loot arsenals. So what you're going to want to do is open up this arsenal here, and what you'll notice immediately is there's a lot going on in this arsenal. There's a lot of gear. This is probably the kind of arsenal you might see in multiplayer. There are different types of arsenals that give just specifically weapons, ammo, and of course gear. So in this arsenal, you'll notice that there are a couple things. There's going to be some weird little boxes. These are magazines for LMGs. And if you go onto the first page, you'll notice that there are LMGs. And if you're wondering what guns use which magazines, well, if you read the description of this M249 SAW, it says that it uses 5.56 by 45 millimeter. So if you go and look at the ammunition, you'll notice that this is a box of 5.56 by 45 millimeter. And that's it. So when you take the LMG by hitting square, you'll notice it equipped to my bottom right slot. After that, you can hit square on this again. But if you don't want to do that and you already have the gun that you want to use, but you just want to quickly get some ammo, the best thing to do is walk up to these and go down with your D-pad while looking at it to take active weapon ammunition. It'll say current is 0 because I have no inventory space, because believe it or not, your character is going to have like an amount of weight you can carry, and believe it or not, carrying all this gear without a backpack in just your pockets doesn't really work too well. Which, if you're wondering again, if you go over, there are actually backpacks that you can put on, which, yes, help you carry more stuff. So if we take this large combat field pack by hitting square, we'll notice that we have this on now. And what does that let us do? We can now carry a whole whack more of stuff. So there we go. Pretty awesome. And another thing, if you guys haven't noticed, you can actually mount. Now, I got some comments on this on some of my YouTube shorts because I did it in a video where I was sniping, and a lot of you guys were really curious how I mounted my gun to a railing without like a bipod or anything. Like, I straight up just kind of laid the barrel down and started going ham. Okay, so to do that, you're gonna, first of all, sometimes when you're walking around, you'll notice your gun is kind of relaxed like this. So what you're gonna want to do is maybe just do like a quick aim like that. So now you're kind of ready to shoot. While looking at an object, hold X. You'll very clearly see it snap down to it, and then you can look around, and there you go. It's now mounted. If you tap L2 to aim, you'll notice you just stay without having to do anything. You stay in an aim mode, but if you want, you can, because PS5 has haptic feedback triggers, you can lightly zoom in and you can just do this, because it does give you a clear vision. So there you go. This goes for anything, but if you're wondering, well, wait, what if my LMG has a bipod on it? Then what do I do? Well, bipods are actually pretty cool. So if you go into the arsenal again, so say we don't need our LMG anymore, I think we could probably drop the LMG now, which, if you didn't know, when you hover over each inventory slot like this, you'll be wondering why you can't actually do anything in them. Once you're hovering over it, hit X, you'll notice it'll go into its specific inventory. Hit circle again, it'll just back out of it. So we're gonna grab the M60 here as it has a bipod on it. Now that we have it on us, we're gonna hit triangle to pull it out. Triangle again to switch to it. We had our AK out, and you'll notice you can kind of tell you have a bit of a bipod there at the end, but it's kind of folded. So how do we get it out? You're gonna want to hold left on your D-pad. That'll make the bipod open up. Same as anything else, hold down X, and you get pretty much no recoil, which is pretty freaking cool. This also works when you're on the ground as well. So if you go on the ground, open up the bipod, hold X. Pretty cool, not gonna lie. Also, I just want to throw out the fact that the M60 in this game looks absolutely sick, sounds really cool, and looks really cool. And yeah, so anyway, another thing about the arsenal that you'll need to know. Now, this arsenal here, of course, in a regular multiplayer game won't be in the middle of a road. However, in multiplayer, you will see arsenals at different headquarters and bases that you can fast travel to when you die, and, well, or should I say spawn on. What's really important about these is you can not only take ammo for your current weapon, but you can go down, take grenades, bandages, and morphine. Now let's go on the topic of bandages and morphine. In Arma Reforger, when you get shot, there's a chance you might either just go unconscious because they got hit in the helmet, or you knocked the wind out of you by hitting you in your chest plate, or you're not that lucky and they grazed your arm or your leg and now you're bleeding. So what do you do in the case that you're bleeding or have a broken bone? Which, yes, both of which are a thing in Arma Reforger, and yes, you can bleed out until you die. So how do you stop it? First things first, if, say, you got shot, you want to hit right on your D-pad, go in your inventory, and you'll see this little tiny item called a bandage. Now, that's what it is. You want to hit... Now, I'm not wounded, of course, but when you are, you want to immediately stop the bleeding before the pain. The pain is not great, but you want to at least stop the bleeding. So you're going to tap and hold triangle while hovering over this. Then you'll notice out of your inventory, if you back out, your character will start bandaging themselves up. Immediately after you get the bandage on, you're going to want to throw this little jab of morphine into your bloodstream immediately. It'll stop the pain and allow you to, you know, press on like a good soldier. Alrighty, so next up on our list here, we are going to look at gun inspection and how our guns work. So if you hold triangle, you'll notice that I just kind of start taking a little look at my AK-47. If you want, you can attach a new magazine, or you can detach your current magazine. Realistically, I'm not 100% sure why you'd want to do this. You'll, of course, get one round in your gun because you'll have one chambered. And yeah, you can do that if you want, for some reason, if you want to. It's just cool. Little details in games are what make games better, so I guess you got to appreciate it. And if you're wondering about even more details, while inspecting your AK, if you hold triangle down and hit it again, you'll actually flip your gun over, which you can actually change the firing mode manually here, but you can also do that while holding it and just hit left on your D-pad. Or you can use your arrow key to scroll down, and you can actually turn weapon safety on. Now, I guess for the sake of maybe a roleplay server, that would make sense, but obviously you're going to be playing regular multiplayer, so that's not needed. But it's a thing that's there if you want. Oh, and if you're wondering how to reload your gun, you just want to hold square. There you go. Now you'll notice, with our safety on, we can't actually fire our gun, which is pretty cool. After you've equipped a pistol in the arsenal and you're wondering how do you pull it out, you want to just double tap triangle. A quick tip for you guys, whenever you're getting into a heavy, really quick, immediate firefight that you weren't expecting, don't worry about doing this, aiming down sights. Just lightly hold down your aim button, which is L2. Say that boulder over there is a person, and you're just kind of doing your thing, and all of a sudden they just jump out of nowhere, and they're like, whoa, they just started shooting at me. So instead of taking time to do this and kind of line your shot up, you want to just lightly hold down your aim button and just kind of let loose on the general area. There's a pretty good chance it'll still hit them and kill them. Take my word for it. Also, cool little detail about Arma Reforger, but it has like super realistic volumetric clouds that are actually 3D and there and actually block light, and it looks really cool, and I just wanted to share that with you guys because I thought it was really sick. Okay, next up, we're gonna go on to vehicles really quickly here. So we're gonna place down a vehicle. We'll do a couple, like the Humvee and the BTR, because these are gonna be pretty important to note. So we'll start with the Humvee. So right off the bat, you'll have a couple options here when you go to get into a vehicle. You could obviously just get in or use your D-pad. You'll notice a lot of interactable things that you can, well, interact with. You can use your D-pad to just scroll through what options are available for interacting with something. So of course, when we just hit square on this interaction, we can just get in as the driver. If we hit square on this one, we get in the gunner. And if we hit this one, we can just open the door and do nothing else if we wanted. By the way, thank you to the person who made the comment on one of my shorts that when you're in the gunner seat, you can actually use your left stick to rotate the gun. I will leave their name up on screen. So now we're gonna get in here. What we just pulled there was basically the handbrake. So you can turn the handbrake off. And if you were on a hill, you'd start rolling down and that wouldn't be too good. But you can keep your handbrake activated so that you don't just roll down a hill. You can look over to your door. You can either get out or close. Now, you don't have to get out of a vehicle. You don't have to look super close at a door and specifically find the get out feature. You can actually just hit circle and you'll just basically bail out of the car. That's it. So we're gonna get back in. We're gonna close the door. Alrighty, so now we're in the Humvee. Now what? Well, if you look over, you'll have a start engine option right here. If you hold square, you can start your engine. Now, I've said this in many of my videos for Arma Reforger. It is way cooler to manually start up your car than to just hold down R2. But I guess if you're boring and you want to do that, then you can do that. but it's way cooler when you actually look down at the ignition. Whoa, boy. Okay, I accidentally just backed up. Didn't mean to. Anyway, so that's it for that. And if you look down slightly, you'll notice you have headlights as well, which you can turn on your headlights, your high beams, and hazards, which, I mean, it's cool that it's there. Also, if you look over at other seats like passenger, whatever, you can switch to those seats by just holding square. But what we're gonna do is look up at the gunner, and we're gonna switch over to him. So again, your left stick lets you rotate the gun, which again, I didn't know this for quite a while, and I was sitting only being able to shoot about that far. Not very good, but you can actually rotate the gun using your left stick, which makes a lot of sense. And again, huge thank you to the guy that told me that. Appreciate it, man. So we rotate our gun here, and it's pretty much just as simple as you just kind of let loose. That's about it. I mean, it's combat, right? So yeah. Now, if you're wondering how to reload this gun, you're gonna have to hold square. You can hear it audibly reloading. You'll have a bar on screen showing it kind of fill up. I have my HUD turned off because it looks way more realistic, and I enjoy it that way because, again, it looks way more realistic, and that's just what I prefer. But that's what you guys will see. Oh, and I get a lot of people asking me how my character's field of view is so high, how I can see so much more of my gun than other people. When you guys are playing, it looks kind of like this compared to me like this. Now, to do that, you're gonna hit pause, go down your settings, go to gameplay, and you're gonna scroll all the way down until you see a section called field of view. Now, you're gonna want to change your first person field of view all the way to 90, and that's how that works. You can also do it for while you're in third person, while you're in a vehicle, which I also like having high because then when you're in a vehicle, it looks really spaced out as well, and you can see more of the inside of the vehicle. And as well as when you're aim down sight focus intensity, I would keep that at 50%. And that's about it for that. All right, so onto the BTR. You're wondering, how the heck do I get in this thing? Where is the door? Do I climb up the top? Do I push it? Do I grab a wheel and just throw it? No. So to get into the BTR, there's actually a small little hatch on the middle side. You can either get in as the driver, gunner, commander, passenger. You can open it, or you can just go in the trunk and see what's inside of it. And a quick thing about trunks and vehicle inventories, whenever you walk near a vehicle and hit right on your D-pad, you'll notice they'll appear on screen. To get into their inventories, you want to hover over it and hit tap and hold triangle. This will actually open up that specific vehicle's inventory. So the nice thing about the BTR is it has a bunch of ammunition for AKs. It also has a bunch of bandages. It has some morphine injectors, grenades, smoke grenades, frag grenades, some extra fuel, and a wrench to repair if needed, as well as some box magazines and a couple tourniquets. By the way, tourniquet stops bleeding if you're wondering. However, I haven't really found the need to use the tourniquets yet in this game. So far, bandages just kind of get the job done. So yeah. Anyway, let's hop inside the BTR here. We're gonna get in as the driver. If you haven't noticed, this game is very, 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 very detailed and in depth. Alrighty, so we're in the driver's seat of the BTR now, and if you look around, you're gonna be like, hold on now, I can't see out of this thing. Do I have to always play in third person in a BTR? Thankfully not. To make it more realistic, of course, you can stay in first person. You just want to look over at this little lever here, and you want to hit square on it. Oh, if you're wondering how I'm zooming in like this, you just have to double tap R1 on your controller. So that's all it is. Whenever you're in a vehicle, you can do that. You can also open the other hatch too, if you wanted. One thing I will have to note though, very important, but if you keep these hatches open, yes, players can shoot into them and kill you pretty easily. I mean, if they're just aiming at it, your head's there. I mean, yeah. Kind of obvious. So while driving into heavy combat, it's probably a good idea to let your gunner take care of shooting and seeing things while you just keep these closed, if I'm being completely honest. All right, so let's get this thing started here. There we go. Got our dashboard light as well as our regular lights, high beams as well if you needed high beams in this thing. But we're not getting shot at right now, so I think it's safe to say we can drive around. So we'll take that handbrake off and get pushing. So if you hold options again, you can go in third person here, and you'll notice this thing is pretty freaking sick. And a cool little tip about the BTR that I bet a lot of you guys didn't know in Arma Reforger is, yeah, it's completely aquatic, which is incredibly cool. So you can actually go in the water with these things if you wanted to maybe get like a huge flank on some enemies and you weren't on like regular land, and you know, maybe there's a lot of guys with rocket launchers on land and you want to get around another way. Well, pretty cool. But yeah, you can actually go in the water with these things, which is kind of sick if I'm being completely honest. So we're back on land, and if we hold options again and you guys look out of your third person here, we're on a bit of a hill. What we're gonna do is test the gun out. So since we're Russian, we're gonna throw down some Americans here. Make sure before anything you hit up on your D-pad and then hit X to pause, so that what you're doing in the Game Master isn't like happening in real time. They're paused and they can't move. You can always hit up on the D-pad again to click that again. That's basically how it works. So we're gonna add a couple of these guys. And then what you want to do once again is hold down touchpad and triangle at the same time. We're gonna close this little hatch here and we're gonna get inside the gunner seat. Now that we're in the gunner seat, you want to hold down L2. And you're gonna notice that you can tear through people. We go in third person. You can use your left stick to turn this gun as well. If you hit left on your D-pad, you'll notice, okay, so they killed me. If you hit left on your D-pad while you're in the BTR's gun, you can actually switch between 2mm rounds. There's 2 of them, so if you run out of ammo for one, instead of sitting there reloading that one, just switch to the other one in a really heated situation. We actually didn't die. We got knocked out unconscious. If you guys were wondering, that's what this looks like. And yes, it's insane. This is really intense in multiplayer. I just want to throw that out there. Now, the next thing a lot of people are really frustrated with in this game is navigation. I have good news for you guys. Now, a lot of people I've seen comment a lot of this saying, this game sucks. I don't know where I am on the map, so this game sucks. Well, listen up. So first things first, if you double tap down on your D-pad, you pull out a compass. So if you hold R1, you can actually look like free look around. Hold your L2 and you'll notice if you look, we're currently looking northwest right now. So say we needed to go south, well then you just turn around a little bit like that. Now we're going south. And if you're wondering where you're at, if you actually hit touchpad and go to your map, at the bottom right of your screen, you'll notice it says you are in Central Everon, southwest of Levy. So, well, where's Levy? Well, if we read our map, this is Levy. We're southwest of it, so we're probably in this field right here, somewhere in this area. So yeah, that's how navigation works. It's actually really easy. A lot of people seem to be really struggling with the navigation, and that is totally understandable because this game is really complicated. But once you learn this stuff, it becomes way less complicated and it becomes way more fun because you start to understand how everything works. And then when you're in the heat of combat in an actual multiplayer match, good lord, it is fun. And for that, ladies and gentlemen, maybe drop a like and subscribe. I'm trying to do this whole YouTuber thing, and I gotta say, it's not easy, but you guys can make it easy by subscribing and dropping a like, which is both completely totally free. And if you want to, it'd be great. But if you don't want to, you don't have to. I'm not expecting it, of course, but support is always appreciated, as always. Oh, and if you're trying to get screenshots for anything, maybe you're wondering how to make the time of day change, you're wondering how to change the weather. Once you're in this camera like this right now, all you want to do is hold down your options button, hit R1. You'll see that you're at the time and date. You can change this how you like. You can go R1 again to weather, and you can actually go down one and hit left on your D-pad to make it extra clear. And you can actually change the time of year and the actual year, which is really cool. I don't really know what this has to do with, but it's kind of cool that it's a feature. You can also turn up wind speed, which is kind of cool. So if you wanted to make everything look really windy, you can totally do that, which is pretty sick. Anyway, so this isn't going to be like a game master tutorial type video, but I mean, overall, if you guys are wondering, this is something that I just found out like recently, and it's super huge. If you're wondering how to make any AI do basically anything, for example, here, let's give, we're going to go into here. We're going to find the ammunition bearer. We're going to place him down just like this. And now say you want to make this guy walk into town. Hover over this box above his head, click X on it, then hold triangle and move your right stick up to forced move. You can make them do other things, like if you wanted him to defend that area, get in a certain car, get out of a car, suppressive fire, move, force move relaxed. So he just like walk there, search and destroy, which, well, I think we can understand what that would mean, but we're gonna do a force move. That'll create this little tiny thing which you want to hit square on. You'll notice no matter where I put it, he'll walk to it. We're gonna place it in this backyard. What does that mean? Well, he's gonna go over there now, which is pretty cool. And that's basically how that works. If you're looking to set up your own types of scenarios and you're wondering how to make enemies or AI do, well, anything, that's how you do it. It's really cool. You can also do the same thing if you put them in a vehicle. And if you're wondering how to do that, go to the vehicle tab, pick a vehicle, pick an AI, hover over the vehicle with the AI selected like this. You'll see it kind of lock onto it. Click X once. You'll notice they're now in the driver's seat. Click on the little box above their head again with X, hold triangle, force move, take this, and we're gonna put it over on this road. What does this guy do? You can hear him starting up the engine of this truck, and now he's chugging along. You can also add more people inside of vehicles by just selecting more AI and just clicking on the vehicle again. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah, Alrighty. I don't know where that guy's going though. He looks like he's just driving off into a forest right now. So back into first person here. If you guys are wondering, you also have binoculars. So if you hold, you know how I said if you double tap down on your D-pad, you have a compass? If you hold down on your D-pad, you actually have a set of binoculars, because let's just be honest, zooming in like this all the time isn't usually the best. Sometimes you need to really see farther, and all you gotta do is pull a pair of these bad boys out, and that's all you gotta do. That's it. So for example, we can go see what this guy's up to. He's figuring it out. Anyway, to put it away, hit triangle, and that's about it. As far as I'm aware, that's like the best rundown of Arma Reforger that I can give you guys. As far as I know, there's not really much else you need to know. But one thing I will give you guys before I end this video off is you're gonna want to head over when you're looking for multiplayer servers to join. When you go to multiplayer, I know how some of you guys feel with the wait times when you're trying to get into a queue, but trust me, it's worth it. It's just because the game's popular. I mean, realistically, right? It only maybe sometimes takes about 20 minutes to get into a full server that's queued up heavily. And that's just how it is. If any game with servers had max player counts with queue times, well, that's going to work like that as well. It's any game. One thing you need to note though is when it comes to picking what server you should be playing, the ping is super, super important. Now, for one, you could just go to the official ones and you could take a look at these. And you can click on whatever, but if you go to just all and you see that there's these, and if you look, you'll see that you'll see that there's some of these 128 player servers. Maybe you want to get into one of these, totally fine, but pick the one that's got the lowest ping. If you pick a server that has, for example, if I were to choose playing on this server over this one, I'm not gonna have a very good experience. So I noticed a lot of people have been commenting on my videos saying the game runs like crap, it's super like laggy and whatever. Again, if you're picking a server with a 200 ping compared to just the 74 one, of course it's not going to run well. That's just how any game works. Some servers have even higher pings and even lower pings. And again, if you don't pick the right server, quite frankly, I mean, it's just, yeah, I mean, it's not going to run well. That's just how it works. So when you're picking a server, please look at which server you're looking at. Also, if your friend plays on PC, crossplay, and you play on console, and you're wondering how can we join the same servers, maybe what they're looking at looks different from what you're looking at, make sure when you're in the multiplayer section that you hit options and you go down to the very bottom and make sure crossplay is enabled so that you both see crossplay servers. And you'll see there's a lot of servers that are set up for PS5 for people to start off on. But again, that's gonna be it for this video. If you guys enjoyed, feel free to drop a like if you want, or subscribe if you want. You don't have to, but it would really mean a lot to me, and it would also help out quite a lot. You guys have no idea. Also, I just changed my new channel membership. It's like 99 cents now, I believe. So if you want to go check that out, feel free. It really does support me quite a lot and helps me make these awesome videos for you guys and help you guys out with games like this. Obviously, I am now making quite a lot of Arma Reforger videos. So if you guys want to see some live streams, more gameplay, all that cool stuff, let me know in the comments, or just let me know how you thought the video was in the comments. And if you have criticism, leave in the comments. If you think I should do something in this video better, or there's types of videos you'd like to see me do at all, and that's just your criticism, then please, by all means, feel free. Without further ado, have an awesome day.